Good evening. You got George and Max. We are again coming back at you with another MCU review. We're going through every project leading up to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Tonight we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp. So welcome back to the rewatch, everyone. All right, George, let's get into your low, I don't know, pretty low, but obviously we spoiled this on the last episode, my number 2 favorite movie. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, sorry again for making that joke if you thought that this one was going to be pretty low. Obviously, we've never talked about this film, so I wouldn't know, right? Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's not the first film. The first film has a lot of charm and humor, and y'all know I love me a good heist movie. I'm writing one right now. Love
In film
heist
school.
movies. Yeah, by the way, I'm in film school. Ant-Man and the Wasp, it doesn't wear out its welcome by sticking around too long. It's less than 2 hours. But also it hits a lot of the same story beats as the first one. You've got a pretty generic villain in Ghost, Ava Starr. Bill Foster is great. Lawrence Fishburne gives a good performance. He's no Morpheus. And you got Sonny Birch played by Walton Goggins, who fits that secondary, like Justin Hammer type villain, where you don't really know what his role in the story is so much. He's just kind of there.
Less charisma than Sam Rockwell in the
Well,
role too. I think
no
that's the
one
way
can
he's
match
written.
Sam Rockwell for
Yeah, it's true.
charisma
Yeah.
in as Justin Hammer and in pretty much any movie. I love Sam Rockwell. But yeah, this one, it tries to recapture a lot of the strengths of the first Ant-Man film, and it does in some regards. You got the three wombats, Luis, Kurt, Dave. Paul Rudd is still great as Scott Lang, friend of the pod. Michael Douglas is as everyone's favorite Hank Pym. It's a good cast. It's a fun ride. You got good moments, great visuals in the quantum realm. Christoph Beck is great with the score once again, but there have to be projects above this. This isn't it isn't one that stands out as something that needs to be top 10, top 15.
No, but I will give this a very low ranking and rating to match, but it's also not a film that has astonishingly bad parts of it too.
No, it's
Sort of like what.
pretty
Go
middle of
ahead.
the road.
Yeah. I mean, sort of like what you said, it doesn't overstay its welcome at all. It's a very quick movie. It's also quippy, and I think that works in its favor. Same with the first Ant-Man. It was also not that long, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right around the same TRT, about 150, 155.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. That's exactly what I think, want out of a film like this. I don't want it to be a 2.5 hour heist movie. I think that's way too
Well,
long.
2.5 hour heist movies. Now you're speaking my language.
Not done like this. But there are definitely elements that I enjoyed. It's a very fun film. Cassie is great. I like her. She's very adorable. As I don't know the actress's name, but she's great as Cassie
I'm sad
Lang.
we're not going to see any more of her.
I know, disappointing.
We had Emma Furman in Avengers Endgame, and now we're going to move on to Catherine Newton in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah.
But more on that film when we get to it in 2023.
When we do another one of these things. So
oh boy. Well, Kang the Conqueror is going to be in that one, so maybe we will. With the
good point.
40 some odd MCU projects we'll have by then.
Yeah, we might just tack on full disclosure.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's going to slot in at, 16 and a half out of 39. Yeah, this one, it's a fun ride. It feels like an Ant-Man film. I don't know how much Quantumania is going to feel like an Ant-Man film with a villain that significant.
Yeah.
You know, there's rumors that it's going to be sort of like Civil War, and you're going to see more Avengers in there. It's a big villain, Kang the Conqueror. He's the next being, you know, considered the next, we'll call him Thanos level villain.
Yeah, and even exceeds Thanos, according
Just
to
in terms
some.
of in terms of presence
Yeah.
in the story, you know, he's not
Yeah.
someone who I think is going to be resolved in Phase 4.
No, I don't think so either. And obviously with the whole purpose of the rewatch is to do this leading up to Multiverse of Madness. So and that opens up essentially infinite possible. They can do whatever they want in Multiverse of Madness. And then Love and Thunder's coming out, and
Black
I
Panther,
think,
Wakanda Forever, Miss
yeah,
Marvel, What If Season 2,
Miss
She-Hulk.
Marvel. Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly thinking about things that on surface level, on paper, would have more to do with like the cosmic level threats.
Yeah,
I
this is
mean,
very,
maybe,
you know,
yeah.
you talk about, and I'm sorry to interrupt,
No, you're good.
but you talk about the cosmic level, and you get that with the quantum realm a little bit. Obviously, that has big implications for Avengers Endgame, which we're going to talk about in a couple of days. But again, it's Ant-Man. There are chase scenes through the streets of San Francisco. It's very street level in terms of the stakes of this film. Obviously, they're higher than in the first Ant-Man film because you've got this quantum technology, got Janet Van Dyne trapped in the quantum realm for 30 years. It's, I talked about how Guardians Volume 2 was very self-contained. This film is pretty well self-contained, but again, it hits that one key element, like Thor the Dark World had the Reality Stone. It hit that one key element that made it significant to the MCU. Quantum technology is what the tie-in is to the rest of the MCU. You get the post-credit scene with Scott being stuck in the quantum realm, Hope, Janet, Hank being snapped away. There are ties to the MCU, which I think brings this up for me a little bit, but not by a whole lot. But again, you can never go wrong with Michael Pena as Luis.
No.
Best part of every Ant-Man movie. And I'm really looking forward to his interactions with Kang the Conqueror.
That would be
Two
funny.
very different
Very funny
levels of being in the comic history.
Yeah. Let's just go into some ratings and rankings.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot more to say about this one that we haven't already talked about in the last few minutes. But I'm gonna go 20, if you don't mind if I go first here.
No,
I'm gonna
be my
go
guest.
28th out of 32. Debated flip-flopping it with Guardians Volume 2, but I'm not gonna. It just, again, like Thor the Dark World, it doesn't take the characters to anywhere really that new. I mean, there's a little bit of movement for Hope, a little bit of movement for Hank, but not anything that moves the needle for me. And then as for a 0 to 100 rating, I'm going to go pretty much the lowest I can go with a passing grade. I'm going to give it a 60.
Yeah, we're right around the same mark there. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna put it at 29th out of 32 projects, and give it a 63 out of 100. So slightly higher, but honestly, at that point, it's negligible. It doesn't really matter. It's a low scoring movie, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is fun. Like both the Ant-Man films are, but
Yeah,
it just is.
They're fun.
Yeah, it just doesn't really move the needle for me. Well, that's gonna do it for us. A nice quick episode for you tonight. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about Captain Marvel, which will be, I think, a good discussion. That'll be fun to talk about.
That's gonna be fun to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Night.